A summary of how Raghunath Das Goswami met with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is given by Bhaktivinoda Thakurji in his Amrita Prabaha Bhashya. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went into transcendental feats of ecstatic Krishna Prem, Ramananda Rai and Swarup Damodar Goswami attended to him and satisfied him as he desired. Raghunath Das Goswami had been attempting to come to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for a very long time. And finally he left his home and met with the Lord. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had gone to Shantipur on his way to Vrindavan, Raghunath Das Goswami had offered to dedicate his life at the lotus feet of the Lord. In the meantime, however, a Muslim official became envious of Hiranyadas, Raghunath Das Goswami's uncle, and induced some big official court minister to have him got arrested. Thus Hiranyadas left his home, but by the intelligence of Raghunath Das, the misunderstanding was mitigated. Then Raghunath Das went to Panihati, and following the order of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, he observed a festival of Chida Dahi by distributing chipped rice mixed with yogurt, dahi. The day after the festival, Nityananda Prabhu gave Raghunath Das Goswami the blessings that he would be very soon attaining the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After this incident, Raghunath Das, with the help of his priest, whose name was Yadunandan Acharya, got out of his house by a trickery and thus ran away. Not touching the general path, Raghunath secretly went to Jagannath Puri, and after 12 days of a tedious yatra, he could arrive at Puri at the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entrusted Raghunath Das to Swarup Damodar Goswami. Thereafter, another name for Raghunath Das is Swaruper Raghu, or the Raghunath at the shelter of Swarup Damodar. For 5 days, Raghunath Das Goswami took prasadam at the temple, but later he would stand at the Simhadwara gate and eat only whatever he could gather by his alms. Later, he lived by taking alms from various chhatras or food distributing centers. When Raghunath Das's father received the news of his, he sent some men and money, but Raghunath Das refused to accept that money. Understanding that Raghunath Das was living by begging from the Chatras, Sri Chaitanya presented him with his own Gunjamala and a stone from Govardhan hill. Therefore, Raghunath Das was very much blessed by Mahaprabhu. Then Raghunath used to eat rejected food that had collected and washed. He renounced completely all kind of material pleasures and greatly pleased Swarup Damodar and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One day Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took by force some of the same food that he has taken from the remnants of all the cows, and thus blessed Raghunath Das for his renunciation. So Raghunath Das Goswami is our Prayojan Acharya. Sambandha Abhideya Prayojan, and Prayojan is Krishna Prem. So this is the ecstasy he is expressing by his ecstatic life, which is completely sheltered at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says in his first verse, Kripa guner yaha kugrihanda kupad uddhritya bhangya Raghunath dasam nyasya swarupe vidadhintarangam Shri Krishna Chaitanya mamum prapadde. With the ropes of his causeless mercy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu employed a trick to deliver Raghunath Das Goswami from the blind well of contemplable family life, Grihanda Kopam. He made Raghunath Das Goswami one of his personal associate, Parshada, placing him under the charge of Sarup Damodar Goswami. So I offer my obeisances unto his lotus feet. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Lord Chaitanya, all glories to Nityananda, all glories to Sri Advaita, and all glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya. Ei Mata Gaura Chandra Bhakta Gane Sange Nila Chale Nana Lila Kare Nana Range. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaur Chandra, performed various pastimes with his associates as Jagannath Puri in varieties of transcendental pleasure. Yadyapi antare Krishna viyoga badhaye bahirena prakashaya bhakta dukkha bhaye. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt great separation from Lord Krishna, but he still did not manifest his great feelings externally, for he feared the unhappiness of his devotees. So this is Mahaprabhu, the perfection of devotee consciousness, that he did not want to trouble the devotees, that if he shows too much of Vipralamba from Lord Krishna, then the devotees will be disturbed. That was the great bhav. His transformations were always happening in the transcendental body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He manifested severe unhappiness due to separation from Krishna, and that cannot be described. When Lord acutely felt that separation from the Lord, only Sri Ramananda Rai talks about Krishna, and the sweet songs of Sarup Damodar could keep him continuing his pastimes. Because the Lord associated with various devotees during day, his mind was somewhat diverted from his internal remembrance of the Lord. But at night, the pangs of separation from Krishna increased very rapidly. Two people, Ramananda Rai and Sarup Damodar Goswami, always stayed with the Lord to pacify him by reciting various amazing verses of Krishna's pastime and by singing appropriate songs for his satisfaction. Karena Santvana. To pacify the Lord's heart, they used to always struggle, chanting and singing. Previously, the same Supreme Lord present Subala, one of his cowherd boyfriends, gave him happiness when he felt separation from Radharani. Similarly, Ramananda Rai helped him to get happiness so that he can be happy doing his pastimes. So this was the great service of Ramananda Rai and Sarup Damodar, to keep the Lord always happy. Previously, when Srimati Radharani felt the separation from Krishna, her constant companion Lalita kept her alive by helping her in so many ways. Similarly, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt Radharani's emotions of separation from Krishna, Swarup Damodar helped him maintain his life. To describe the fortunate position of Ramananda and Swarup Damodar is very difficult. They were renowned as intimately confidential friends of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord thus enjoyed his life with his great devotees. O devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, now hear how Raghunath Das Goswami met with the Supreme Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Raghunath Milan Ebe Shuna Bhaktagan. When Raghunath Das, during his family life, went to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Shantipur, the residential place of Sri Advaita Acharya, the Lord gave him very important instructions by his great causeless mercy. instead of becoming a so-called renunciate. That is Markata Vairagya. Mahaprabhu said, Markata Vairagya chhadiye haila vishaya praya. That Raghunath Das should follow the instructions of Lord Chaitanya. That you follow the worldly duties for the namesake, but in the heart, you always long for the association of great devotees and Lord Krishna. He returned home and played exactly like a pound and shilling man. He just did a drama as if he is a materialistic person. So this is the ideal bhav for the sadhaka. Bhitare vairagya bahire kare sarva karma dekhiyat mata pitar anandita mana. Raghunath Das Goswami inwards from the inside heart was completely renounced, even being in family life. But he did not express his renunciation externally. Instead, he acted just like an ordinary human being, especially a businessman. And seeing this, his father and mother were greatly satisfied. They were thinking, oh, he is a nice man now. When he received the message that Lord Chaitanya had returned from Mathura city, Raghunath Das endeavored to go to his lotus feet. Prabhu pasha kali bare, chali bare, udyoga karila. So he was thinking how he can go to Mahaprabhu. At that time, there was a Muslim official who was collecting the taxes for the Muslim government at Saptagram. When Hiranya Das, that is the uncle, Chacha of Raghunath Das, made an agreement with the government to collect the taxes, the Muslim Chaudhary or tax collector, having lost his position, became extremely envious of him. So in material world, this is natural. Somebody gets promotion or takes up your position and your position is lost, then you are in great trouble. Hiranya Das was collecting some 20 lakh gold coins and therefore should have delivered 15 lakh gold coins to the government. Instead, he was giving only 12 lakh, that means he was misappropriating a total profit of 3 lakh coins. That was surplus to his natural 5 lakh gold coins. And seeing this, the Muslim Chaudhary, who was a Turkish man, became his rival. And after sending a confidential account to the government treasury, the Chaudhary brought the minister in charge. The Chaudhary came wanting to arrest Hiranya Das. But Hiranya Das has left home. He ran somewhere. Therefore, the Chaudhary arrested Raghunath Das. Hiranya Das palaila Raghunather bandhila. Every day the Muslim would chastise Raghunath Das and tell him, bring your father, Bap Jetharyan, and El brother, Nahe Paiba Yatana. Otherwise, your Yatana's punishments will not stop. So his father and uncle has to be presented in front of the Chaudhary. Otherwise, the reaction is coming to Raghunath Das. The Chaudhary wanted to beat him, but as soon as he saw Raghunath Das's face, his mind was changed and he could not beat him. So much innocence was there on the face of Raghunath Das that this Chaudhary could not do anything. Indeed, the Chaudhary was afraid of Raghunath Das because Raghunath Das belonged to the Kayastha community and they were the main business connections with the people. Although the Chaudhary would chastise him with oral vibrations, but he was afraid to beat him. This is the fear for the business class of people. Because if he is beaten and then nobody is there to collect the taxes, how the revenue will be generated? Tabe Raghunath kichu chintila upay. At that time, Raghunath Das thought of some trick to escape. Sincere devotee is not at all happy with the materialistic activities. That's why he will always want to somehow skip away. Thus, he humbly submitted this plea at the feet of Muslim Chaudhary. Amar pita जेठा है तुम्हार दुई भाई, भाई भाई तुम्हार कलह कर सर्वदाई. My dear sir, my father and his elder brother are your brother only. All brothers always fight about something. This is natural. कबू कलह कबू प्रीति इहार निश्चय नाही. काली पुनः तीनी भाई हईबा एक ठाई. Sometimes the brothers fight among themselves, and sometimes they have a very friendly dealings. There is no certainty when such changes will take place. There is no guarantee. Thus, I am sure that although today you are fighting, tomorrow you all three brothers will be sitting together in great peace and happiness. Ami yaiche pitar, taiche tomar balak. Ami tomar palya, tumi amar palak. Just as I am my father's son, I am also your son. I am your dependent, and you are my maintainer. That's why for a maintainer to punish the person he maintains is not good, because we are sheltered at your feet. You are expert in all the scriptures. Tumi sarva shastra jana, jinda peer pray. He is complete flattery. He is saying, you know all the scriptures. Indeed, you are like a living saint, jinda peer Baba. Eta shui hai mlecher man ardra haila. When this Muslim heard Raghunath Das appealing so sweetly, his heart was softened. Dadi vai ashru pade, kandi te lagila. He began to cry only, and all his tears were gliding to his beard. Mlecha bole, आजी हैती तुम्ही मोरपुत्र, आजी छाड़ाई मो तोमा करी एक सूत्र. That Muslim Chaudhary told to Raghunath, you are just like my son from this day now. Today, by some means, I shall have you released. I will get you out. After informing the minister, the Chaudhary released Raghunath Das and then began to speak to him with great affection. Your father's elder brother is less intelligent. तुम्हारा जेठा निर्बुद्धि अष्ट लक्ष खाए. He is so foolish that he has taken 8 lakh gold coins. But since I am also shareholder, he should have given me some portion. So he is not unhappy that उसने चोरी किया. But he should have given me something. This is funny. Now you go and arrange a meeting between me and your uncle. Settlement. Let him do whatever he thinks best. I shall completely depend on his decision. Whatever decision he will take, I will accept it. But let's have a meeting. So Raghunath Das Goswami is so expert in his sweet dealings. Raghunath Das arranged a meeting between his uncle and this Chaudhary. The matter was settled and everything was peaceful. That means that Chaudhary also got something. In this way, Raghunath Das passed 1 year exactly like a first class business manager. But the next year he again decided to leave home. So he gave a small break of 1 year. But his determination to leave material life and go to Lord Chaitanya cannot be stopped. Although he was married at the age of 19 only, but still being so young and beautiful personality with a beautiful wife, but he was not attracted to such mundane affairs. And can you imagine the quantity of gold they were earning? So they must be the most earning people of that time. So he got up alone one night and left from there. But what happened? His father caught him in a very distant place and again brought him back to the home. someone has a sincere desire to meet the Lord or a great Acharya he wants to surrender, there will be so many obstacles. And this we learn from the life of Raghunath Das. This is a daily affair that he wanted to go and run away. And his father was always conscious that he wants to run away. So he will be tracking him, keeping the guards to see where he is going. And he was again taken back to the home. He will run and father will get him back. Then Raghunath Das's mother spoke to his father once. Putra batul haila ihaya rakha bandhiya tanra pita kahe tare nirvinna hayya. Our son has gone mad, completely gone mad. She said, just keep him binding with some ropes. His father, being very unhappy, says like this: Indra sama Aishwarya, Stri apsara sama, Ei sab bandhite, Narikhe narileka yandraman. Are Raghunath Das is our son. He has opulences like Indra. He can have a golden throne to sit. He is a heavenly king. And his wife is as beautiful as Shachi. Yet all this could not tie him down to his mind. He is not stoppable. How then could we keep this boy at home? By binding with small ropes. If the greatest rope of this world, Stri and Aishwarya, are not able to catch him up, then what these normal ropes can do? It is just not possible for one's father to nullify the reactions of one's past activities. So who can change the karma? Who can change the daiva? I can't do. Chaitanyara Chandrera Kripa Hayya Cheyahare Chaitanya Chandrera Batul Ke Rakhite Pare. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has fully bestowed his mercy upon this soul. Who can keep him at home? He is gone mad. He is a madman now. But he is a madman of Lord Chaitanya Chandra. Tabe Raghunath kichu vicharila mone Nityananda Gosaira Pasha Chalila Aradine. Then Raghunath Das considered something in his mind. And the next day he went to Nityananda Gosai. In the village of Panihati, Raghunath Das obtained an interview with Nityananda Prabhu, who was accompanied by many of his Kirtaniya performers, servants and others. Ganga tire vriksha mule pindar opare vasiya chen yena koti suryodaya kore. Sitting on a rock under a wonderful tree at the bank of Ganga, Lord Nityananda seemed as effulgent as hundreds and thousands of rising suns. So beautiful the sight was where Nityananda was sitting. Today also that sight is very beautiful. And we can just imagine 500 years before how much it must be beautiful. Many devotees were sitting surrounding Lord Nityananda. And seeing the influence of Lord Nityananda, Raghunath Das was completely vismita, astonished. Dandavata hayya sei padila katadure sevaka kahe Raghunath dandavata kare. Raghunath Das was offering obeisances by following flat, prostrate, that is, Ashtanga Pranam, from a distance. So Nityananda was not looking there. But one of the servants of Nityananda told, there is Raghunath Das. Nityananda Prabhu, he is offering obeisances to you. Shuni Prabhu kahe, chora dili darashana, aya ajitohra, karimu dandana. Nityananda Prabhu in his ecstatic mood said, you are thief, choro tum. Now you have come to see me? Come here. Today I will give you danda. I will punish you. Prabhu bola te ho nikate na karega mana Akarshiya Tanramathe called him. But Raghunath Das did not go close to him. Even his transcendental respect, he was not going closer. Then the Lord Nityananda forcibly caught him and placed his lotus feet on the head of Raghunath. Lord Nityananda by nature is very merciful and he creates a lot of fun. So being merciful, he spoke to Raghunath Das as follows. You are just like a thief. Nikatena ayya chora, bhaga dure dure, ajilaga paiya chi, dandi mu tomare. Because you are a thief, you are avoiding me, you are not coming close to me, and you are staying away from me. Now that I have captured you, I shall surely punish you very nicely. Make a festival. Dadi chida bhakshana karaha moragane, shuniyanandita haila Raghunath mane. Make a festival and feed all my associates and servants yogurt and cheap rice, dahi chida. And hearing this, Raghunath Das was greatly pleased that my Prabhu Nityananda is ready to accept some service from me. That's why Raghunath Das immediately sent his own men to the village to purchase all kinds of eatables and bring them back immediately. What kind of things? Chida dahi dugdha sandesha arachi nikala sabadravya anaiya chaudike dharila. Raghunath Das got chipped rice, poha, dahi, milk, sweetmeats, sugar, bananas and other eatables and placed all of them around. Mahotsava nama shuni brahmana sajjana asite lagila loka asankhya ganana. As soon as they heard that a great festival is going to start now by the mercy of Nityananda and Raghunath, all the Brahmanas, great gentlemen began to arrive. Brahmana bhojana priya. Brahmana likes prasad very much. So they were ecstatic. Thus all of them were rushing towards Ganga. And seeing the crowd getting increasing, Raghunath Das arranged more and more eatables from all the villages. Purchase everything. Don't check the price, just pay them. And he also brought 200 to 400 large round earthen pots for the preparations to be kept. He also obtained 5 or 7 especially very large earthen pots, and in these pots a Brahmana began soaking poha for the satisfaction of Lord Nityananda. In one place, chipped rice was soaked in hot milk to make dudh chida in each of these large pots. Then half the rice was mixed with yogurt, sugar and bananas, and the half was supposed to be made as dahi chida with sugar and bananas. The other half was mixed with condensed milk. Condensed milk is boiled and condensified milk, and special type of bananas known as champakela. They are special kelas. They were also mixed with them. Then sugar, clarified butter and camphor were added. After Nityananda Prabhu had changed his clothes for a new after taking bath and sat on a raised platform, the Brahmana brought before him these great 7 huge pots. On that platform, all the most important associates of Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Prabhu, as well as other important men, sat down in a circle around the Lord. Who are these servants? Ramadas, Sundarananda, Dasa Gadadhar, Murari Kamalakar, Sadashiva Purandara, Dhananjaya Jagadisha, Parameshwara Das, Mahesha Gauri Das, Hoda Krishna Das. Similarly, Uddharana Datta Adi Yada Nijagan, Upare Vasila Sab, ke kare ganan. All other personal associates of the Lord sat on the raised platform with Nityananda Prabhu. No one could calculate how many of them were there. Hearing about the festival, all kinds of learned scholars, brahmanas, priests were gathered together. Lord Nityananda honored all of them and made them sit on the raised platform with him only. Everyone was offered 2 earthen pots in the hand, one at each. In one was put chipped rice with condensed milk, and in the other one, chipped rice with dahi. Aryata loka sabha chautara talane mandali bandhe vasila taranahaya ganane. All the other people sat in groups around the platform. No one could count how many people are going there. Eke kara janare dui dui holala dila dadi chida dugda chida dui te bhijila. Each and every one of them was supplied 2 earthen pots, one of chipped rice soaked in yogurt and the other one chipped rice soaked in condensed milk. Some of the brahmanas, not having gotten a platform for their sitting, they went to the bank of Ganga with 2 of their earthen pots holding 2 hands and soaked their chipped rice there. Others who could not get a place even at the bank of Ganga got down into the water and began eating there 2 kinds of chipped rice. So everywhere they are going just to enjoy the great prasadam. Thus some sat on the platform, some at the base of the platform, and some on the bank of Ganga. They were all supplied 2 pots each by the 20 men who were distributing this great prasadam. At that time, Raghunath Pandit arrived there. Raghav Pandit arrived there. Seeing the situation, he began to laugh in great surprise. Hasite lagila dekhi haiya vismita. He brought many kinds of food cooked in ghee and offered to the Lord, because he was very famous for cooking very great prasadam. This prasadam he first placed before Lord Nityananda and then distributed among all the devotees. Raghav Pandit told to Nityananda, "For you, O my Lord Prabhu, I have already offered food to the deity, but you are engaged in a festival here, and so the food is lying there untouched. You are not eating there. That's why I got a wonder, and now I think that you are enjoying the feast here with Raghunath." Then Nityananda Prabhu said, "Let me eat all this food here during the day, and I shall eat at your home at night. I belong to a community of cowherd boys, and therefore I generally have many cowherd associates with me. I am happy when we eat together in a picnic like this by the sandy bank of Mother Ganga. This is our great happiness." Lord Nityananda made Raghav Pandit sit down with him and had 2 pots holding in his hand. There were 2 kinds of chipped rice soaked in them. And when this chipped rice had been served to everyone, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, in great meditation, brought Swayam Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu aila dekhi nitaya uthila, tanrelaya sabar chida, dekhi thela gila. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally arrived there, Lord Nityananda stood up. They then saw him how the others were enjoying the chipped rice with dahi and milk. From each and every pot, Lord Nityananda took 1 morsel of chipped rice and pushed it into the mouth of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu while jokingly. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, also smiling, took a morsel of food, pushed it into the mouth of Nityananda, and laughed as he made Lord Nityananda eat it. In this way, Nityananda was walking through all the groups of eaters, and all the Vaishnavas standing there were seeing the fun. No one could understand what Nityananda Prabhu was doing as he walked about. Some, however, who were very fortunate could see that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was also present. But most of them were not seeing whom Lord Nityananda is making to eat, and when he is moving around, who is making him to eat. But very fortunate souls were seeing that even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was personally there. Then Nityananda smiled and sat down. On his right side he kept 4 pots of chipped rice that had not been made from boiled paddy. Lord Nityananda offered Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu a place and had him sit down. Then together the two brothers began eating chipped rice. Seeing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eating with him, Nityananda became very happy and exhibited varieties of ecstatic love and the symptoms. Agya dila hari boli karah bhojana, hari hari dhvani uthi bharila bhavana. Lord Nityananda Prabhu ordered, all of you eat and chant the holy name of Lord Hari. And immediately everyone started loudly chanting, Hari, Hari. That sound was resounding everywhere, filling the entire universe. When all the Vaishnavas were chanting the holy names of Hari, Hari and eating also, they remembered how Krishna and Balaram were eating with their companions, the cowherd friends, on the bank of Yamuna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu are extremely merciful and liberal, especially to their devotees. It was Raghunath Dasa's good fortune that they accepted all these dealings and gave wonderful service to Raghunath Das. Who can understand the influence and mercy of Lord Nityananda? He is so powerful that he induced Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to personally come and eat the wonderful offering of chipped rice at the bank of Mother Ganga. All the confidential devotees who were the cowherd friends of the Lord, headed by Sri Ramadas, were absorbed in complete ecstasy. They thought the bank of Ganga to be the bank of Yamuna in Vrindavan. When the shopkeepers of many other villages also heard about this festival, they arrived immediately there to sell their chipped rice, yogurt, sweetmeats, and bananas. As they were coming, bringing all these kind of things, Raghunath Das purchased everything. He gave them the price for their goods and later fed them also with the same wonderful prasad. Anyone who came to see this wonderful festival of BHAGAVAD-GITA festival, they were in great ecstasy. After Nityananda Prabhu finished the wonderful feast, he washed his hands and mouth and gave Raghunath Das the food remaining in the 4 pots that he was eating. There was the food remaining in 3 other big pots of Lord Nityananda, and a Brahmana distributed it to all the devotees, giving a morsel to each and everyone. That is great Mahaprasadam. Then a Brahmana brought a flower garland, placed the garland on Nityananda Prabhu's neck, and smeared sandalwood pulp on all over his body. When a servant brought betel nuts and offered them to Lord Nityananda, the Lord smiled and chewed them very gently. With his own hands, Lord Nityananda Prabhu distributed to all the devotees whatever flower garlands, sandalwood pulp, and betel nuts were remaining. After receiving the remnants of food left by Nityananda, Raghunath Das, who was greatly happy, ate some of them and distributed the rest among his own friends and devotees. Thus I have described the pastimes of Lord Nityananda Prabhu in relation to the festival of BHAGAVAD-GITA. This is the great fortune of Raghunath Das Goswami. Nityananda Prabhu rested for the day, and when the day ended, he, as he was promised, he went to the temple of Raghav Pandit in the same Panihati and began the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Lord Nityananda influenced all the devotees to first dance very ecstatically, and finally he himself started dancing, thus inundating the entire world in ecstatic Krishna Prem. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was observing the dancing of Nityananda. So Nityananda Prabhu could see this, but the others could not see that. The dancing of Nityananda, like the dancing of Sri Chaitanya, cannot be compared to anything and any other person in the entire three worlds. No one can properly describe the sweetness of Lord Nityananda's dancing. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally came to see that ecstasy of Nityananda. Nritya kari prabhu abe vishrama karila bhojanera lage pandita nivedana kaila. After dancing, Nityananda Prabhu was resting. Raghav Pandit submitted his request to the Lord who was taking supper. Lord Nityananda Prabhu sat down for supper with his personal associates and made a sitting place on his right side for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also came there and sat down at his place. Seeing this, Raghunath Pandit felt great ecstasy. Raghav Pandit felt great ecstasy. Raghav Pandit brought the prasadam before the two brothers and thereafter distributed the prasadam to all the other Vaishnavas. There were varieties of cakes, sweet rice, fine cooked rice that surpassed the taste of even nectar, amrita. There were also varieties of shak sabji, vegetables. The food prepared and offered to the deity by Raghav Pandit was like the essence of nectar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came there again and again to eat such wonderful prasadam. This is said that whenever Raghav Pandit used to offer this great bhoga, Chaitanya would personally come and eat that wonderful prasadam. When Raghav Pandit offered the food to the deity after cooking, he would make a separate offering for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Every day Sri Chaitanya would eat at this great place of Raghav Pandit, and sometimes he would give Raghav Pandit the opportunity to see him personally. Raghav Pandit would bring and distribute prasadam to these great brothers, feeding them with great attention, and they also ate everything, and therefore there was no remnants left even for Raghav Pandit. He brought so many presentations that no one could know them perfectly. Indeed, it was a fact that the Supreme Mother Radharani personally cooked in the house of Raghav Pandit. Srimati Radharani personally received from Durvasa Muni the great benediction that whatever she would cook would be sweeter than nectar. That is the special feature of Radharani's cooking. Sugandhi Sundara Prasada Madhurya Rasara Dui Bhai Taha Kaya Santosh Apara. Aromatic and pleasing to see, the food was the essence of all sweetness. Thus the two brothers, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, ate it with great satisfaction. All the devotees present requested Raghunath Das to sit down and also take prasadam. But Raghav Pandit told him he will take prasadam later because he can get Mahaprasadam. All the devotees took prasadam, filling themselves to the brim. Thereafter, chanting the holy names of Hari Hari, they stood up and washed their hands and mouths. After eating, the two brothers washed their hands and mouths. Then Raghav Pandit brought flower garlands and sandalwood pulp and decorated them. Raghav Pandit offered them betel nuts and worshipped their lotus feet. And he also distributed that betel nuts, flower garlands and sandalwood pulp to all the devotees. Raghav Pandit, being very merciful towards Raghunath, offered him the dishes with the remnants of food left by these great Chandras of Nadia. He said, Lord Sri Chaitanya has eaten this food. If you take his remnants, you will be released from the bondage of your family life. The Supreme Personality of Godhead always resides either in the heart or in the home of his great devotees. This fact is sometimes hidden and sometimes manifest, sometimes prakat, sometimes aprakat. For the Supreme Lord is fully Swarat, Swatantra Bhagavan, completely independent. The Supreme Lord is all pervasive, ever existing everywhere, and therefore he resides in every Anu and Renu. Anyone who doubts this will be completely annihilated. In the morning, after taking his bath in the Ganga, Nityananda Prabhu sat down with his associates beneath the same tree under which he had previously sat for the Cheda festival. Raghunath Das went there and worshipped Lord Nityananda's lotus feet. Through Raghav Pandit, he submitted his desire. I am the lowest of men, most sinful, fallen and condemned. Adhama pamaramoi hina jivadhama morai chahaya paya chaitanya charana. Nevertheless, I desire to attain the shelter feet of the lotus feet of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Like a dwarf who wants to catch the moon, I have tried my best many times, but I have never been successful. Every time I tried to go away and give up my home relationships, my father and mother unfortunately kept me always bound. No one can attain the shelter of Lord Chaitanya without your mercy. But if you are merciful, even the lowest of men can attain the shelter of his lotus feet. Tomara kripa vina keha Chaitanya na paya, tumi kripa kaila tanre adhame hapaya. Although I am completely unfit, unqualified, and greatly afraid to submit this plea, I nevertheless request you, sir, to be especially merciful toward me by granting me shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Placing your lotus feet on my head, give me the benediction that I may achieve the shelter of Sri Chaitanya without any difficulty. And I have no desire only for this benediction. After hearing this appeal from Raghunath Das, Nityananda Prabhu smiled very gently and told all the devotees, Raghunath Dasa's standard of material happiness is equal to that of Indra, the king of heaven. Because of the mercy bestowed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself on him, Raghunath Das, although situated in such material happiness, does not like it at all. Amazing. Therefore, let every one of you be merciful towards him and give him the benediction that he may very soon attain the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One who experiences the fragrance of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna does not value even the standard of happiness which is available even in the Brahmaloka, the topmost planet in this material world. Then what to talk of the heavenly happiness which is much lower than Satyaloka? Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is offered sublime, poetic praise by those trying to attain his great favor. Thus he is known as Uttama Shloka, who is glorified in sublime poetry. Being very eager to gain the association of Lord Krishna, King Bharata, although in the prime of his youth, gave up all his very attractive wife, affectionate children, most beloved friends, opulent kingdom, exactly as one gives up stool and urine by excreting them. This is the distaste that comes for material life when one attains the great mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Then Lord Nityananda Prabhu called Raghunath Das close to him and placed his divine lotus feet on the head of Raghunath Das and began to speak.